Mission Impossible 2. I'm continuing in my series of Mission Impossible reviews leading up to Mission Impossible Rogue Nation this July. I've already covered the very first Mission Impossible film, and if you missed that video is currently on my channel right now. But let's talk about possibly the most divisive movie in the entire franchise. And just as a warning, just like the first film, this will contain spoilers about plot details, so if you haven't seen Mission Impossible 2 yet, go check it out first, then come back and watch the review. But more than likely you have, because it was like 15 years ago. You should probably get on that. Now, Tom Cruise has stated that he wanted a different director for each film in the franchise. That's a good idea for certain reasons. For one, each time a director comes on, he's fresh, he's new, he's excited to direct a Mission Impossible movie. It gives a different feel to each one, similar to the James Bond movies. But it's also a bit of an issue, particularly with this film, because they hadn't yet figured out what worked about the franchise. They were still in a sort of experimental phase. So we have here a drastically different movie from the first one, which set a lot of people in a bad mood. The basic plot of MI2 is that a virus has been created called Chimera. It's Ethan Hunt and his team's job to find all traces of said virus and eliminate it. But there's also a rogue agent, played by Dougray Scott, who is out to find this virus, get rich off of it, and spread it throughout humanity because he has the cure. So if he gives everyone this virus, this cure is going to be worth a lot of money. And these guys butt heads and they fight, and there is a lot of slow-mo. But the main emotional punch of this movie is a romance between Ethan Hunt and Naya. And when he discovers that she used to have a romance with Sean Ambrose, portrayed by Dougray Scott, she is forced to then go undercover, pretending that she needs him to find out information about him. You can't really watch Mission Impossible 2 expecting a Mission Impossible movie, because what it really is a big Hong Kong martial arts movie with Mission Impossible in the title. Now, in all honesty, this is a gorgeously shot movie. It's a very breathtaking film. There's tons of great cinematography, a lot of really good action, and it's all filmed and choreographed very well. But it gets to a point of silliness from time to time because it takes itself way too seriously. But there were a lot of new ideas brought forth in this movie that just did not work at all for a Mission Impossible movie. This may have worked as a straight-up action film directed by John Woo, but not as a Mission Impossible movie. For one of the biggest reasons is they changed Ethan Hunt's character way too much. In this film, he's really like a carefree, playboy type James Bond character. In the first film, he was a very efficient person. The mission was always first. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was also a bit of a man on the run type character, so there was a lot of urgency there. In this film, he is way more like James Bond. He meets this girl, he sleeps with her, he's rock climbing in the beginning. It's an iconic sequence, but why is he really risking his life out there rock climbing? What's the point, really, of it besides to get some really cool shots of Tom Cruise rock climbing? In fact, the entire car chase scene where Ethan Hunt and Naya are chasing each other along that stretch of road is right out of GoldenEye. This movie was trying to be like a Bond film, and it just shouldn't have been. These aren't James Bond movies. They're a very different type of film. And since MI2, they've begun to recognize that need, but this film tried to make it too much like a 007 movie. And also, with the plot to try to get Naya into Sean Ambrose's life again, it creates a love triangle between them two and Ethan Hunt. Who needs a love triangle in a Mission Impossible movie? No one. Now, it's great to see Ving Rhames back as Luther Stickle. He was one of my favorite parts of the first film. He was so funny, he was so likable, yet he was also a computer nerd, so it was such a cool character for Ving Rhames to play. In this film, they removed almost all of his humor. He's just there and he types things. Where'd the humor go? He became such an uninteresting character in this movie. In fact, the pilot of the helicopter in this movie adds absolutely nothing. He's just there to pilot a plane. There's nothing. He adds nothing to this movie as a character. In all honesty, John Woo, the director, is the most prevalent character in this movie. The slow-mo, the doves, of course, he had to put all these doves into the movie so we all knew we were watching a John Woo movie. The crash zooms on people's faces. Do you have any idea how many zooms on people's faces are in this film? Tons. I could show the rest of this review. It'd be nothing but zooms on people's faces, and this review would be like an hour long. The first film moved. It was so fast-paced. This film takes forever to get anywhere. The first act has nothing of interest. It's just a whole bunch of discussions about some disease that's been created, and a whole bunch of forced, awkward romantic scenes with Ambrose and Naya that are just weird and they give you goosebumps. There's nothing about this first act of the movie and even into the second act that's really that entertaining. It's honestly an hour into this film before we get a real action scene. Up until then, it's just a bunch of strange, goosebumpy romantic encounters. Now, once Hunt finally breaks into the biosite facility to destroy the remains of this virus, there's a lot of really fun action throughout this scene, even though it is overly stylized. But my biggest problem with this scene is that he takes so much time to destroy these viruses. He honestly does it slower than any Nicholas Winding Refn film you've ever seen, and I'm a fan of Refn, okay? He's walking around the room like holding these guns going I'm like, dude, speed it up! Now, once the bad guys, Naya and Hunt, all converge on this facility, there's a lot of really good tension leading up to her eventually injecting herself with the remains of the virus. I was very into this scene. It's very well done. It's emotional. Hans Zimmer's score is great. But then Ethan takes her, blows up the bombs that he set, and escapes. Why didn't he just do that before she injected herself? That would have made everything a lot easier, wouldn't it? And I do love the sequence where Ethan Hunt jumps out of the hole in the wall with Hans Zimmer's beautiful score in the background. Once we actually get to the big finale, it's just nice to finally see some action happening in a Mission Impossible movie. And there's tons of it. It's like John Woo was almost making up for the fact that there was barely none throughout the first hour of this film. Now, Tom Cruise typically performs virtually all of his stunts, and he does a magnificent job as usual. He's basically giving the perfect Solid Snake audition here, sneaking around through this facility, taking out guards, stealth. It's awesome. It's really well done. And I do love the scene where he tricks Ambrose by taking out Ambrose's right-hand man, then putting an Ethan Hunt mask on him and forcing Ambrose to kill his own right-hand man, assuming that's Hunt. It's a really well-executed scene. And once we get to the big motorcycle chase scene, I mean, watching it now, it all looks great. It doesn't look fake. It actually looks very realistic. There isn't a single shot throughout that scene that looks like it didn't actually happen. But it's kind of stupid that as soon as this scene starts, he's laying on the ground and he reaches in his pocket and he puts on some sunglasses. I was like, wow, The Matrix clearly came out the year previous, which it did. And of course, there's the epic money shot through the fire on the motorbike. I mean, just that's beautiful. It's a beautiful moment in cinema. Oh, Mission Impossible 2. And I love how Ambrose and Hunt just drive their motorcycles towards each other, then collide bodies in midair. It's so hilarious and dumb. It's so stupid and idiotic. But, you know, they jumped off their bikes and collided in midair. You see, that's the problem with Mission Impossible 2. You have those awesome moments where they're like, that's amazing. And then it's so super serious with this virus and you just can't take it seriously. That fight is pretty badass though. It's well filmed, it's brutal, it looks like real pain is going on, and the stunt with the knife, Tom Cruise, you insane person. The stunt with the knife and the eye, that's real, guys. From all reports from the set, that is real. They rigged the knife with a cable to stop it at just the right second above Tom Cruise's eye. A real knife. A real one. Now that's where I draw the line. I would much rather climb on Burj Khalifa than have a knife stopped a centimeter away before my eye. I mean, if it just slipped a second, I mean, Dougray Scott would be a murderer. Tom Cruise wouldn't have an eye anymore and probably be dead. I mean, what? For me, MI2 is a mixed bag. Tom Cruise is great as Ethan Hunt in the fight scenes and in the stunt work, but he's too much of a James Bond type playboy character in the script for this movie. When there is action, it's very exciting and well choreographed and well filmed, but it's way too overly stylized, and the serious romance and virus storyline just makes the whole film feel very weighed down and kind of depressing. And I think John Woo was thinking, this movie looks so cool, everything is so cool, but it's really just too cool for its own good. This movie lost a lot of the tone of the first film, that urgency, that real spy-like action, the suspense, the real human characters. This movie made those characters kind of cartoony and way too stylized. But the biggest plus of this movie is that if this movie didn't happen, we would not have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Why is that? Well, Dougray Scott was actually the first person cast as Wolverine but had to drop out due to his involvement with MI2. So Hugh Jackman got the part, and thank goodness for that. I'm always trying to look on the positive. Thanks, MI2. I appreciate that. All in all, I'm going to give Mission Impossible 2 a C. I can still watch this movie for what it is. Like, I can have it on, I can appreciate some of the action scenes, but the over-serious tone is just not the right style or feel for a Mission Impossible movie. And I think if this movie wasn't called Mission Impossible 2, if it was called, like, Slow-Mo Shots or something, then it would be perfect. It'd be a great movie, but not a Mission Impossible movie. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to my MI3 review, which is going to be coming up in the near future. And as always, if you guys like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.